We got Michelle, we got Amee in the house. And we are live as well. Facebook. Okay. Hello, everybody. Okay. Welcome back to the party afterwards. Happy Thursday, everybody. Good to see you. Looking forward to have some fun in this monthly mastermind today. And we're going to have quite a few people join us. We already have people kind of, the countdown begins on the Facebook Live. So just us over here, guys, having fun and brainstorming and masterminding and asking questions and growing together. And if you're watching us on Facebook, and I know that a lot of you are here, feel free to comment, ask questions, and whatever you feel like. So just to a quick round, we have an amazing group of people over here. Start from what I see on my screen. Amee Skutvik, she is from our KW West Side office, and we have Michelle Harding from the Long Beach office, Aalcides from the South Bay office, and David Abbas from the Calabasas office. Give yourself a round of applause. Yay! Thank you, guys. So I know that you have a busy day today, so I appreciate you joining today. So kind of quick round, 30 to 60 seconds about yourself. David, your love life, whatever you wanna add, kids, whatever. A quick kind of background of who you are and what you're about. Michelle, you go first.
Okay, I'm originally from Toronto, Canada. I've been in Long Beach for 16, 17 years now, so it's definitely home. And been in real estate 5 years. This is my 5-year anniversary, actually.
Congrats. Anniversary. 5 years and rocking it. That's amazing. All right, good to have you, Michelle. Thanks. Amee.
Can you hear me, Manny?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Hello. Oh, good. Okay, this morning it wasn't nearly as good. So I recently joined the KW West LA office, and I came from a different market center. I run a small team that's growing, and I've been in business now for 19 years. My kids are grown. Thankfully, I'm not having to deal with COVID and young children, but that's it in a nutshell. I mean, it's pretty easy.
That's a whole different business. Thanks for joining and sharing with me. Aaron.
Well, I've been in business for 7 years now, starting 2014, right after 26 years in a banking career. I've decided to start a whole new process. So now that I'm getting some experience in real estate, it's pretty exciting. It's finally getting some good traction. I have one son. He's 19 years old, and he's graduating UC Davis with his 4-year degree this year. Very proud of him. He's a very, very smart kid. And other than that, it's I love it here.
Good to have you, Aaron. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate it. David Abbas.
I've been with Keller Williams for 11 years, I think now, and I love this industry. I have a 3-year-old son and my wife as well, and I wish I started when I was 16 years old in real estate if it was legal. So, love what we do.
It's legal in some counties, but yeah, good to have you, David. And sometimes you feel like you're 16, so we party often. So
on the weekends, maybe sometimes.
Exactly. Well, excited about today's topic. We always pick in a subject, a topic that is kind of like interacting. It's always relevant, and you can always grow from. We know that working your sphere is basically the ideal goal of every producer, at least in one point, because that's pretty much a level of business that will, I want to say to some extent, can be sustainable, right? The flow. I mean, we always have to work with business, but what I would have to hear from you, and once again, whoever's watching, we have quite a few people in growing. We're probably going to go over 100 for sure in the next few minutes, is what are you looking to, once again, if you're watching, learn from us, and you guys, even between you, have a conversation, ask question, interaction, whatever you want to share. And I'm going to start with, first of all, how do you define your sphere? What does it mean to you, my sphere, etc.? So start whatever order. I'm not going to point out. Just let's have fun. Go for it.
Well, for me, my sphere is the people that know who I am, and the people that I will walk into any room and they will definitely recognize me, or that they will be willing to refer me business. And I have actually taken some great steps to organize my database to be able to clearly identify who they are, and that way I can create my focus on it.
My sphere, I didn't know I was going to be a sphere.
David, you're coming in and out just a little bit, I think.
Okay, let me have one of the ladies speak, and then I'll relocate to a better Wi-Fi area. Hold on.
Cool. Thank you, David. Yeah. Amy, Michelle, go for it.
I think for me, my sphere, it's the people that I know, but it's also the people who my sphere knows. Once I'm able to make contact with them, I do consider them part of my sphere of influence. The majority of my business comes from that sphere, but I can't say that a past client hasn't went into that realm also. The majority of my past clients I do consider sphere. It's not just family or friends, it's just people that I know. And to me, that's the low-hanging fruit. My sphere of influence, it may not be somebody who I petition for business every day either, but I want to be their go-to resource for everything. And I think that's where the repeat business from my sphere comes from, is it's not the real estate conversation. It's just about where they can find other pieces of information. That's the easiest conversation for me to have, really.
That's really good. I agree with that. I feel like most of my sphere came from a previous career in the fashion industry. And then I am also a musician. So I had all those people. And then when I transitioned to real estate, it was kind of easy to just be like, hey, I'm a realtor, by the way, like if you need a house, like what are you paying in rent? And kind of just reminding people that it wasn't as hard as they thought to purchase, because a lot of people think it's so out of reach. And that kind of became my shtick with like artists, is showing them like, you can do this too. And this is how you do it. And then they're reaching out to their friends like, I never thought I could buy. And then I bought. She can show you how. So the sphere kind of grows from there. And these are friends. These are people I know from, like, kind of like you were just saying, it's the low hanging fruit. They're right in front of you, and everyone has a sphere. So it's just learning how to talk to them, not necessarily even about real estate, but about anything that they might need. And long after you close, I feel like my sphere grows because I am their go-to, like, oh, hey, what do you think about this? Or I need somebody to do landscaping. Do you know somebody good? Like, you're in real estate, you must know. Like, they kind of think you know everything, and we don't. But it's kind of fun to pretend that we do and be that one-stop shop for them, to like, because then it just opens up to so many more people, and the sphere just grows and magnifies.
Or they'll have you reach out to somebody else. Somebody else will reach out and go, well, I was told that you were the one who would know a good roofer. Yeah. Or and now those people go into my sphere database the same way. So yeah, it makes it fun. It's the easy way.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I had a challenge with, I guess, communicating with my sphere. I came from that business background, and being in multiple local chambers, being the president of one of the chambers, and I thought that everybody would know that I was in real estate. And I made the mistake of not clearly identifying the career change. So, and to my surprise, years after, it was, people still thought as Aaron the banker, and not necessarily real estate. And I'm like, it was very challenging for me. And at that point, I was very more clear about making sure that people knew that I wasn't a secret agent, that actually I was a real estate agent. So you learn.
Yeah. Good insight, by the way. Yeah, good insight, sure. David, can you hear us fine right now? Can you hear
I
you?
hope so. Sorry, guys, about that.
Oh,
Have to
beautiful.
relocate.
Yeah. So what's your intake insight about sphere? How would you define a sphere, David?
Similar to what everybody else was saying, really. It's anybody that I interact with. And then whether I do business with them or not, it's just a relationship, friends over the years. I'm born and raised in LA, so I wanted to capitalize on just the people that I've been in touch with on and off throughout life. But I think when you're working sphere, you really are a relationship first and then business second. And then that's how you get people to talk about you. It's a double-edged sword because, if something were, to go wrong, whether it was in your control or not with your sphere, they may speak, good or bad about you. So we have to be extra careful, I believe. And knock on wood, I think people know, if they hire you, they know that this is not a perfect science industry and things happen. But I think as long as you're doing the best you can, and going deeper into your sphere has been my new challenge. Like, I want to not just go from the first circle, but I want to go deeper into their in-laws, their neighbors, their bosses, their managers, and have them promote me, as much as I can. So I didn't realize I'd be a sphere of influence agent. I tried other things first in the beginning, but organically and quickly I realized that's my calling, and I just have been running with it since.
One point. And some people, some of the questions that people keep asking us is, and you kind of like touched on it a little bit, some of you, is one assume that working with your sphere is going to be a bit more comfortable, right? In a sense, versus just going after cold business or what have you. Even though I argue it can be the same work capacity, the same workload, because you have to work it all the time. But when did you realize that hey, my sphere is my business, or I'm okay, I'm comfortable to work with my sphere to be my maybe main source of business or also source of business?
Okay. Or go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Please. It's okay. Yeah.
For me, it really started out that way. I think I felt authentic dealing with people that already know me, and growing that sphere was very comfortable to me because you already have a sense of who you're dealing with. If you've dealt with, an aunt or some sort of relative in a capacity and they refer you to somebody at work, you already know who you're getting, which just makes it that much easier. And I think regardless if it's sphere or not, being authentic is going to be the key. So it just made the most sense to go after that business first.
It's super important to. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, David.
No, please. I already forgot the question. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
I actually have a really interesting example, and I hadn't realized how important this one individual is in my business until a few days ago when I was asked to participate. And I went and dig deep into what one person can do in your sphere. And that's really important. We hear on bold, right? What one person can do for your business. Well, a financial planner who was a very good friend of mine, and I went to her office grand opening, and we've done a couple of happy hours together. She referred to me this lady that wants to sell her home. I go to the initial interview, and she, I'm like, I got this. I was very sure that I had the listing, and then a week later she said, "Oh, I signed up with someone else." Interesting enough, things went wrong in the relationship, and she called me back. Since 2017, this one lady, I sold her house, I helped her buy a condo. Then her brother, I sold his house, and I refer him to to buy out of the state. Then the brother's son sold and bought with me. Then her neighbor sold and bought with me. And at that neighbor's open house, the house that I had originally sell walks into my open house and says, "Oh, we want to sell our house." The thing is that it goes on, and right now I currently working with one person that is going to buy, and I have a referral out on that. And I was doing the math. This one person since August of 2017 I have closed $5.9 million of referrals, and I have $400,000 in the referral and working with a buyer of $800,000 now for a total business of $7 million. And I was like, I just need 10 of those. And I will have a very stable business.
Yeah, that's important. You know, it's such a powerful message, by the way, to whoever is watching, that to understand that building a relationship in this business is the key, really. And then you convert your environment into your sphere. I guess that's part of the evolution of the business, right? David, by the way, when you were like walking around, there was one question. What's on your shirt? Is that teddy bears or horses? What is that?
They're bears. I'm really sorry, guys. They're bears. I'm really sorry for my lack of technology right now. But if I keep it up, just cut me off. I'm trying to find sorry about it, guys.
Hey, so you mentioned something earlier, David, that I kind of want to point out, and Aaron actually touched it too, just by sharing his story. Thank you, Aaron. You said, you know, I have my sphere, like first level, etc., right? But then I want to sell to my buddy's parents and to their neighbors and their. How do you keep, revealing the layers, if you may, in that capacity?
That's a good question, and that's something I'm continuously trying to, work on. Anytime I'm invited somewhere, of course, it's a social event, but in the back of my mind, these are also potential clients of mine. They just don't know it yet. So it's kind of like product placement. You have to kind of always be positive about the industry, and like lead by example, I guess. Always do a good job. But I have realized that I can't just survive off of this one well. I need to go deeper, and I need to have them refer to me business, and they do. It's just a matter of, it's a juggling act of not being direct about. I'm not direct about it. Like, hey, call me when you want to sell, or buy. I'm a little more. I dance around it a little bit, but they do get mail from me. They do hear from me regularly. Everything I send out is professional, and then it just kind of slowly develops, and people talk about it. People love real estate. People are fascinated by it, especially in this city and state. It's like the hottest thing to talk about.
And once
who would have thought?
Like, with you, they want to know, well, who'd you buy your house with? So it naturally travels.
Yeah.
Through.
It's a very exciting subject matter. So we get to ride the coattails of that. But I do try to.
David, like, you went frozen again for a second. You said I do try to what?
Strategically be in places where they will remember me and they want to reach out to me. I try to make it that you come to me instead of me coming to you.
Got it.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I was thinking when you were speaking of the same thing, like during COVID, I feel like my business of using my sphere to get business kind of changed, because I'm such a social person naturally. I've never had to fight for a sphere. I don't have to pretend to be social to then suddenly randomly slip in, I do real estate. It's a very organic, natural process, whether I'm meeting the girls at the gym or I'm meeting the guys on a running club, or I'm going to a paint night and we're making things. I'm involved in a lot of different creative outlets. And that has been where all of these people have come from. And then naturally, like during COVID, I made little sanitizers. And when we would gather distantly, like just for social fun or wine in the park, or going for a walk with our dogs, which was a big thing I was doing with a lot of my past clients and friends, I would bring the little sanitizer, clip straight on their dog leash. And that way they would think of me, because it's like, we're not being as social right now. So it was kind of, I was like, what do I do? Like, I still want to talk about real estate. I still want to put it out there that I'm doing it, but I'm not going to hand you a business card and be like, call me when you're ready. So instead, it kind of comes up naturally, like, we need sanitizer. So here you go. And it's amazing how easily it works when your friends of friends are all, who'd you buy your house with? Oh, okay. Well, my mom needs to sell her place. Actually, I kind of want to buy a house. Or like, it's just a natural conversation that happens amongst people now. And the more social you are, the bigger your sphere will be. So if you're not a social person in real estate, I feel for you, because I don't know how people do it. And I know there's systems out there in the door knocking and the cold calling that I've never done, but that works for certain people. And I'm just grateful that the social side is what works for me, because I couldn't do all that. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah. I agree.
I think the combination of making work part of our social life, that's what takes away the work, and it just makes it fun and,
Makes it easier.
and yeah, it's a lot easier. So most definitely in the different, like you mentioned, the different groups or activities that you do, Michelle. I mean, that is just like you say, it's so natural, and it's just you don't have to be as involved in the asking for the business. It's just a natural process.
Yeah, with social media, people know what we do. Like, if I'd have to talk about real estate, like, you can see it on my page. We've already added each other on Instagram and Facebook, so you know what I do. So I try really hard not to shove it down people's throats, because we're not car salesmen and we have that bad rap. So I feel like the sphere is like the best way to build business, because it's so natural. You do a good job, people are going to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good stuff, guys. How do you position yourself? A side question. So we know that the joke is every second person in California has a license, right? Over 500,000 licensees in the state. How do you position yourself or differentiate yourself if you happen to have another family member or another someone in the sphere, etc., as the realtor of choice? If it's a fair question to ask. Anybody?
Well, we're never gonna put down anyone else or anything like that. At the same time, I think it's all about the value that you bring to the relationship. So you have to make sure that you're contributing to their lives, you're contributing to their social life, or whatever the thing that we have in common with that individual, and make sure that we always stay in the best terms possible, that won't switch at any point, and be considerate to our friends or that sphere. One of the things that actually works really well for me is those. I've gotten into scripts lately, and have brought them down to like who I am, and it's about the gratitude. It's about how awesome, especially with past clients, how incredible it was to work with them, and how I would like to work with more of the people that they know, and be involved in the the housewarmings, and that way it's been one way to actually go some more levels down, to be able to meet additional friends, and now grow that the friendship. It's almost like it's just like expansion.
Yeah. Another question is, it's more maybe specific for 2020, the year that never happened, right? Very challenging, year. A lot of, very challenging still with buyers, etc. Right? And if you have the listing, you rule the world, right? So, and I'm not sure how many of the business last year, the last 12 months, etc., you had with buyers, but how do you work the dynamic between the relationship between your sphere, who's like, can be a family member, a good friend, etc., right? Like part of your tribe, and the stress and the competition, the expectations that you would come across within a, a typical transaction. If you understand the question. Not a repeat. David is like, what?
Can I buy a vowel? I didn't understand.
So I assume, right, that the relationship with you, working with your sphere will be different than if you have just like a random client that was, was given to you, or someone called you, or open house, or whatever.
The stakes are way higher. I think it's actually harder working with friends. It's harder working with the sphere. I can't speak today. Because there's an expectation there. They heard you did a good job. Now they've referred you to their friend, and you got to show up and give 110%, because the word on the street was that you were good. So I feel like for me, the stakes are a lot higher. Not to say I work harder or do a better job, but I definitely feel a little more pressure.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if that's normal, but.
I agree with Michelle on that. I feel that we're being interviewed or judged the whole time within the sphere. So one thing I'll note, which is probably the obvious, is I never talk about anybody's business. Socially about a deal, or how stressful it was to work with XYZ, or I'll never work with XYZ again, or anything good or bad. I think that's important to mention, because the last thing you want is people to think that you're, one of those people that just talks about everybody's business. So I make it a conscious effort to stay quiet, and respect my position in the sphere, and respect what Manny was saying before about, if there's other agents in our circles, which I'm sure we all experience that. I want to work with people that want to work with me, and respect what I'm going to be able to do for them. So I'm not trying to get everybody, but I have been duped before and blindsided, where I thought it was like a slam dunk deal, and I already cashed a check in my head, and I found out, they're going with whoever, and I was really disappointed. So it's not a perfect system, but nothing is. And I think we just have to all just know that, this business is strikes and gutters, and we just gotta do the best we can. But staying quiet about people's business is important. And if someone wants to talk business with me and I'm out, then we can talk about it, during an appointment, not just, out there at the restaurant.
Yeah, good point, because people, excuse me, part of the fiduciary, right? It's also just to keep that, some things private, right? You as the counsel, that's just that as advisor, it's even beyond relationship or friendship, if you may. And I think this is a tip, an advice that you won't read on the DRE manual. It's by experience only. It's really high level ethical insight as well. So thank you for sharing that. Good stuff. Amee, question for you. From your deals, I don't know if you have this, any of you have the stats, right, for like the last 12 months or what have you, but from your deals last year, how many of them in percentage or numbers roughly were sphere? If you can kind of like remember that vaguely.
It would be about 86% would be sphere based.
That's a pretty high number.
84 to 86. Yeah, it's a lot. I know. And this year I'm actually working on growing that as well, but there's no reason for me to go outside of my database to find it. I have one family that so far has brought me 11, the same way that they were talking about, if you just dig a little bit deeper, they're there. But yeah, it's a huge percentage. Very, very rarely do I have to deal with somebody off the street, so to speak. And I'm very grateful for that. Very grateful for that.
So from those 30 some, like almost 40 deals, right, last year from Sphere, are those all different people, or some of them, some circle of friends, or how would you define it?
You know what, it's a mix, because I have been doing it for a while. So when I say that my past clients become my sphere, being in the community that I'm in, they really do become whether it be a friend or a neighbor. I have clients that I worked with also when I worked in radio and stuff that I go back to the same thing. So past people that I've worked with, past clients, people in different industries that I've been fortunate enough to come into contact with. It's kind of spread out, not as much family. I mean, I will say that over the years, I've converted a lot of family members into clients, but I didn't start that way. It was mainly just reaching out to those who I've done business with in the past. So yeah, not just close friends, let's put it that way.
Right. Yeah. How do you grow your sphere? You know, talking about that, how do you keep growing that sphere, right? Or organically, or
Join a club.
Well, my raving fans are huge with that part. For me, I think a lot of times we're able to reach out to them really easy. And maybe not ask for the business, but just remind them if anyone needs any stats on the market or has any questions to call.
Yeah. Michelle, you said join a what club? A fitness club?
I said join a club. I'm doing productivity coaching at our office in Long Beach now, and I have a couple new agents that are studying with me, and one of them is a hairstylist. She's probably watching this, I hope. And he has an amazing sphere already built in, and it's really cool because otherwise I'm like, join a club, join a gym. I mean, non-COVID world, but join a walking club, walk your dogs with your neighbors, like make friends with people, because it's really those natural interactions. Do things that you like, whether that's crafts or learning how to knit. Like, think of the silliest thing and you'll be surprised how many people are there that you can connect with, and then real estate naturally happens. Kind of like, I can't remember if it was David who said it, but you never really have to talk about real estate. It just naturally comes up in these groups. But yeah, my coaching client, she has 20,000 followers on her Instagram from her hair salon. I was like, you need to start talking to every single client about real estate, or put up a cool poster. Like, we're still coming up with like a creative idea, so everyone that sits in that chair can look up and be like, oh, you're a realtor, I didn't know that. Or what's the house poster about? Or what is this? So she's a little uncomfortable. She's like, oh no, I want to keep it separate. Like, those are my salon clients. But I'm trying to teach her that I think it's really important to actually integrate these, mix them together, make it all, you're the same person. You can still do hair and do real estate. You've got 20,000 people sitting right there. Those are potential clients for buying a home, all of them.
No,
and their parents.
Yeah. And, you know, so I speak for myself, you know, coming from a different industry, right? So that evolution of one person, I always say, besides be a very, you know, skilled professional realtor, right? You also want to have a passion for something. It can be anything. You know, Michelle, you dance, you're very active, like, you know, fitness wise, tons of stuff, right? So when you find a passion for something, it doesn't need to be like, you don't need to shy away from
piano lessons, like literally anything. I like walking clubs though. That's easy. Everyone can do a walking club.
That's a new one. That's 2020. That's the trend.
That's what the dogs. Everyone I know has dogs, so that's dog people love dog people, and it's easy to socialize. I got a great lead from the dog park the other day. She had like 18 dogs with her. I started talking with her because I was just curious. I'm like, how many dogs do you have in your house a day? Like, do you walk them? What's the deal? She's a pet sitter. Sure enough, I'm a realtor. We're exchanging cards. She's already sending me houses that she wants to buy. Oh, by the way, I saw this house in my neighborhood. I need a bigger yard for all the dogs. Can you help me? Of course I can help you. Like, it's very natural and easy. I was just talking to her because I thought she looked friendly and her dogs were cute. I don't know. And there's 20 of them. It's kind of funny.
A lot of dogs.
Dog park, new sphere.
You know, one way that I find that to grow a sphere, I think there's different levels. You know, there's those people that you do things with. There's people that you actually do either a club. But there's also those business groups. One of the things that I'm going back to as a real estate agent, which the mistake I made was that I was involved in so many different. At one point, I was like in 6 boards for nonprofits and different things like that. And what I did when I became a realtor is like I stepped away from all of that, and that was a big mistake. So reconnecting with those groups, providing again some kind of value to you connecting with them. Like I make sure on my quarterly calls, I have the CEO of the chambers that I give a call and say, see how they're doing. And when I go to an event, I make sure that you have specific people that they're influential, that they know a lot of people that you want to focus on, and make sure you touch base and keep them up to date to what's going on with you. Sometimes, we don't have to talk to real estate, maybe to the close friends, but if it's in the business forum, then it's completely, it's totally okay. And that's one of the things that, going back to, as a productivity coach, the newer people need to understand that their strength is the previous life, like your hairstylist. I mean, with that kind of database, it's like, absolutely. So get her to.
Yeah, it's blend.
That's right.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Aaron. One point for sure. So another question for you, right? If you're looking at 2020 or looking at your career so far and looking on this year that brings tons of opportunities already, right? And whatever in the future, what are some places or areas you can keep growing into if you had to implement in sense of a sphere mostly, if you wanna share, or maybe non-sphere related, but in your business?
Well, one of the things that I did this year, starting the beginning of February, was I got into mastery coaching, and just to restructure my business. I was a good portion of my business prior to last year and COVID. It was open houses, and I had to do a serious shift to be able to continue and maintain my business without that source, which I'm still waiting for it to come back. Because I for some reason I do tend to connect with people, open houses, and it works. But the other part, or the reason why I went into mastery coaching, is because I had a very large database that I wasn't really connecting to, and I've been the last couple of months I've been in it, and from 6 months ago to now, it's just incredible. And in call after call, it proves again, okay, that those people that you have in there, the people that you have maybe don't have a close relationship to, but when you call them, they're happy to hear from you. And the fact is that, just in the last couple of days, and sometimes those can be referring agents. I just had an experience this past week. I called someone that had referred me business before, that I had not called through this entire COVID process. And what happened, literally the next day, I had a referral from him for Long Beach that turned also into a sale. He thought he only wanted to buy, and now he's also going to sell his condo. So just take advantage of what we already have, and make sure that we can turn the context that we have into a sphere. So it's a conversion process. The more we convert into that sphere, or make them, promote them to, right, to a closer relationship, we'll find a way to connect better.
Yeah, that's awesome. Who else? If you want to grow somewhere, or are going somewhere, want to share, what would that be? How would that look like?
There's been a lot of I feel like my sphere in the last 2 months has grown through other businesses. So I'll reach out to clients, see how they're doing during COVID, what's going on, how's your business, how's work, just tell me about what's going on in your life. And a lot of the time they're like, no, business is good, or it's bad, or it leads to them talking about work. They're, oh, actually, I have a referral for you. And then I help their business too. So I'm like, well, if your business is struggling, like one of my girlfriends makes jewelry. So she used to do pop-ups everywhere at fairs and concerts and sold jewelry and was doing really, really well. And then during COVID, she wasn't selling anything. Not only are we not going anywhere, we don't really care what jewelry we're wearing. We're not going to an event. We don't need anything sparkly. She also wasn't doing any of those pop-ups. So I started just doing her jewelry in all my closing gifts and also as gifts for birthdays, Christmas, whatever it is. You had a baby, here's a necklace, like kind of helping her business and becoming like on top of her mindset as somebody who supported her during hard times. She sent me 3 referrals since about in the last 12 months. I've had 3 referrals from her. Pretty crazy. Just by buying, like, and they're not even expensive pieces of jewelry. We're just talking pretty sparkles, nothing big, but just something helpful. And originally I wasn't even thinking about it as a referral. I was just trying to help her out. But if you reach out to these people and you're like, what kind of business do you have? You can help people in ways that you don't even realize, and it comes back like karma. It comes back every time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good advice, by the way, about how to connect. I do believe that the best realtors are also those who are the most resourceful ones. And you guys at the very beginning mentioned that, yeah, you know, they call me for this and for that, for a plumber, for whatever. Well, guess what? You do want to know those people because those are all other business owners. I always say that you have to think like you're in a LinkedIn a physical world, right? LinkedIn, what other professionals do I know? And I can connect the hub, right? Resourceful. So that's definitely a key. David, you could use some jewelry in your closing gifts.
I stepped up my game regarding gifts. I always do give gifts, but I went deeper into my gifting, like, you know, expecting a kid, someone's birthday, not just a closing gift, but I took it another step further. And I think, you know, I just think it's a nice gesture to do sometimes, and it doesn't always have to be real estate related where it's only a housewarming gift. But if we take that away and assume that they're not even your clients, like, would you give somebody a gift that was having you know, expecting a baby or just got married? Or, I mean, I've even gone on divorce parties too, but like you can give people things, and it goes a long way, and they remember that stuff. You know, they do remember that stuff, and I mean it. See, the thing is, for me, which is all this profession that we're in, if we're social, sorry,
It's organic.
it's totally organic.
You're like a house, you're doing it because you're like, oh, you had a baby, that's cool, like you're celebrating.
Totally. Whether I was in this business or not, I would do it. You know, yeah. I mean, I even give other agents in our office gifts that are expecting. You know, I mean, it's like it's just the kind of person I am. So I stepped up my game in that department, and I did get a MAPS coach, and I'm not trying to plug that, but I gotta say, I wasn't like a big believer of coaching for whatever reason all these years.
Oh, and then it's gone. David, you say I'm not a believer, and then you're freezing. I mean,
I'm going to add to what he said about the gifts, because like this was the year to turn up for gifts with COVID, like getting something in the mail, like a little treat or something to open, something sparkly or something yummy to eat, whether it's a delivery, like whatever it is. Just surprise pop-ups for no reason. Those presents, they go a really long way. Oh, am I still on?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
A closing gift that I started to do I have a second niche market up in Big Bear, California. And it's really hard to get your offer seen because there's like 20, 30 offers. You guys know how it is. It's like that in LA for a long time now, but it's gone really crazy up in the mountains. So to get their attention at closing, this one lady was on like a really big team. She was one of the coolest agents I ever worked with. So I got her a closing gift. And it was a thank you. It was a thank you for being patient when the appraiser couldn't get to the house because of snow. And our appraisal came in 3 weeks late, and she waited for us. She didn't cancel her escrow. And so now I feel like I've grown a little bit of a sphere in her office because she's on a massive team. So when I delivered it to her office and put it right on that front desk, I know the other agents saw that. I'm now in my 3rd transaction with that team in Big Bear. So it worked. And I just said, thank you. I said, thank you for not canceling us. Like whatever the reason is, but like the agent to agent relationships, like that's a sphere too. She's probably going to send people that are relocating to LA one day when they leave the mountain or whatever's going on. It can grow in so many directions.
Yeah. And I love that, by the way, because I do believe, number one, to be that I'm not saying it's mandatory, but I do believe that to be involved in our community, in our industry, board, different charities, organizations that are related to our industry are important because they want to lead. However, to treat one another, doesn't matter which company or what have you, that goes long. That goes long way. So thank you for that. David, are you back or are you still frozen?
Yeah, sorry guys, I can't apologize enough.
You said I don't believe in maths coaching, and then you just like, but what?
Okay. Oh well, that's funny how it cut there. So I mean, just I introduced that into my career, and I waited many years. I should have done it earlier. It helped a lot because we kept going back to 2020, and just so have.
All right, David Abbas is not. It's not your day today with tech for sure. That's okay. That's okay. No judgment. It's all good. You in and out, David. Sorry. Here's another question for you guys. Aaron, you mentioned going back and interact and what have you, and keep in touch and whatever. Do you guys have any kind of system? Do you use a CRM of some kind, a drip campaign, your notebook, your I don't know. What do you do? Do you have any kind of systems, or you have the flow of how you do business?
A lot of it happened naturally, just being out, just kind of like what Michelle does, going to events, and then now even participating on the Zoom meetings with the different organizations, and actually participating. That highlights you. The other process that I have adopted is that set up coffees, set up Zoom happy hours. I mentioned happy hours too many times already. So, but also on my system, I finally went from being completely independent to actually adopting KW command and converting everything to be organized. And everybody that is in my database is at A+, that's my sphere. That's my sphere, and those are the most influential and the people that I stayed the closest to. And then there's the A's and the B's, and then everybody else is a C. So it's just so makes things so much easier to have everything identified.
Thank you. How about you, Amee? Systems? How do you keep track of that massive sphere of yours?
I did convert over to Command, and I did have a few challenges with that at first. Now I've tried to make it more where I might work through Command one day and generate reports and more social media stuff the next, but trying to mix it up a little, especially working from home so much now. I can't sit and do the same thing day in and day out and have it be effective. So I've tried to just develop a different kind of schedule with it and hit different people at different times during the week.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you have a big year ahead, so keep it up. Yeah, same question. Michelle, can you hear us still?
I think I muted myself.
Oh,
I'm just trying to think of I don't use a CRM. People are always shocked by this. I'm naturally in contact with my sphere almost daily. We have a group of friends here in Long Beach. We call us the Wolf Pack. And I've never seen people nearing 40 in a group of 20 and 30 people pre-COVID that would go out together on the weekends. Like, we are as social as you get. We're a ridiculous group of people. I've sold all of them their homes at this point. When I first got into real estate, I looked around my friends and realized this whole wolf pack had not one realtor in there. I had a successful job pre-real estate. I was doing great in fashion. I didn't need to be a realtor. I was just like, my sister's a successful realtor. I kind of looked around. I was like, none of you guys own your houses. Like I had already owned a few properties. I was like, I should just be a real estate agent and sell you guys all your houses. And I think they thought I was joking. And here we are. I ended up really loving this, but I'm naturally in contact with all of them. There's some, like if I've sold one of their friends, like maybe their mom's house or something, like I relocated somebody this year to Arizona. So I followed up with her like 2 months later. I sent her something sparkly in the mail as a closing gift. She opened it up in Arizona. We did a little Zoom call and we just caught up. I have a list in my phone. I'm very old school. So I have a list in my phone and I have a calendar notebook and I love my lists. My lists keep me in line and they work. So whatever system works for you, use it and stick with it. And I'm a very like systematic person in that regard with the notes in my phone. And I just go through, I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't talked to them in a while. Like I need to touch base with them again. I kind of have a client list is what I call it in my notepad. That is how technology sound I am. I'm not into it. I've put all my contacts into a CRM and I just felt like it was easier to just follow up on my phone. I'm not really doing it via email. I'm doing it via text. Some of them I have like a meme group going and we just send funny memes every day. It's hilarious and it breaks up the day, makes you laugh. So we're naturally kind of in contact that way. Like just however the relationship started is how it continues. If it's via text, then it's via text. If it's email, then we do it emails, like whatever.
And that's your system. And that's cool because all of you sharing kind of your how you go about whatever that is, right? And so it just shows that everything could work. You just have to stay consistent with it.
You have to stay consistent for sure. And I set calendar alerts as well. I have all of my client birthdays in my Gmail, Google. So I get an alert on my watch. It's so-and-so's birthday today. I might not send them a present, but I'm certainly going to like maybe go on Snapchat and take a funny video of me of a cat singing happy birthday and text it to them. So it's definitely not your average like real estate reach out, but it works because it's more personalized.
How do you go about asking your sphere, your friends, or what have you for referrals? How does that work? Like from your end, from your point of view?
Well, one of the things that has worked for me is practically saying how much I liked working with them and that they probably have friends just like them and that I would love to be able to work with them and to do the same, the same thing that I did for them. And it seems to be a compliment to them, saying that they are sort of it's the gratitude script that we have. And it's amazing, I just like David was saying about coaching, I have always have a hard time with coaches, but it's really just making the decision now, and taking in that recommendation. So not being afraid of being coached and not being afraid of at times using the right script, using it the right way, and just being able to have that extra material that you can tap into and make it your own. It has actually made it's more exciting to make calls or those people that we haven't connected in a while. It's totally now natural to be able to call them and say, first, apologize for not having in contact with them. And the response is like incredible. And before I had a very limited belief about what the reaction was going to be, what they're going to think. I mean, I was just questioning everything. And at times you just have to surrender.
Well said. Thank you. Michelle, Amee, I mean, any comments, any thoughts about that? I mean, do you actually go and ask for a referral? You just evolve, it just happen, an interaction?
To me, it happens. I don't ask for referrals. I feel like my closing gifts are awesome. And I think those have been the best referrals ever because people see it on Instagram and they're like, I want a closing gift. I can buy a house with anybody, but I want a present. It's funny. It sounds like such a silly thing, but it works. I've had a lot of people be like, I saw you got a big old basket for so-and-so. Like, do I get that when I buy a house? I'm like, every closing gift is so unique to that buyer or to that seller that it really depends. I'm like, it might not be a basket. Sometimes good things come in small envelopes. But the closing gifts are like such a visual display. I do make like gift baskets often, and I'll put very personalized things in them. So one, for example, I did yesterday was the picture of the family in the mountains was what I submitted with our offer to try and stand out with everybody. And I framed that picture. That's in there. And other like cute little things, but they're going to remember that. It's going to be on their dresser, and that always attaches them to that real estate agent. And then their friends ask, oh, where'd you get that beautiful frame? Or, oh, my realtor, actually, you're looking for a house. Like the referrals come naturally, I feel like, when you're doing the right thing.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. Kind of last question or last round. If you're, in a nutshell, if you had to give this piece of advice for anybody who starting to work their sphere or looking to make their sphere the main source of business, kind of one liner of like or piece of advice, how would you go about that? What would you tell them?
I tell them to be patient, Manny, because the trust is earned, and it does take a while when you're dealing with your sphere. But to be genuine, because what works for one person isn't going to work for the next. And the one thing I do believe is that people don't want to buy from somebody when they feel like they're being sold anything. So being authentic is probably the biggest thing, and just to be patient.
And also like trust yourself. Like a lot of the people I'm coaching, I'm finding they don't feel confident enough to be referred to as a realtor or to think that they could sell the house. I'm like, if you have the confidence, then that's gonna bleed out to your sphere, and people around you will see that you feel confident in the position. So they'll trust you as their realtor then, even if they're a friend.
Yeah, and staying in constant communication, it is key. Don't be that submarine that goes, in and out of those relationships. Those relationships are to be kept very close. In either, now, I mean, this great tool, right? Zoom. I mean, it has changed a lot of things, and it's just so good to see people. And don't feel weird about sending them a link saying I want to talk to you. It works out really well, and but to the new agents, the sooner you organize yourselves in a way that works for you, and everybody has their own style, but find a system. People talk about CRMs, right? And what's this famous thing that is said? It's the one that you use. That's the one that works. So at times, just like Michelle, I mean, you don't need a whole big system to make it work. But what you need to do is identify who those people that will be there for you no matter what, and be vulnerable and let them know. We have to at times let people know what we need, and if we need their support in launching our business, then ask for it. And I think that the more open we're with it, the easier it will be to be adopted and taken, and push forward.
Yeah. Well, you guys are awesome, and I think we covered tons of ground with a lot of content, and thank you for sharing, Amee, Michelle, Aaron, and David Abbas, now virtually. Guys, thank you so much. Wherever you are, stay healthy, stay busy, and thank you for sharing. And good to see you. Appreciate you, and whoever is watching us or thanks guys for participating, and until the next mastermind. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.